If you've lost a yard of pace, picked up a belly since summer, and keep saying, "I sort this after Christmas," then this one's for you. Because in 10 weeks, you could be the lad setting the pace in January, not the one gasping at the back. Stop training like a gym tourist, start training like a GAA athlete, and stop letting those hamstring issues turn into chronic back pain. There's a massive difference between the two, and if you don't know what it is, you're about to find out why January always kicks your arse. The difference between coasting and showing up in January ahead of the pack is 10 weeks. 10 weeks, you could start right now. Let's talk about why High Rocks isn't the answer and what actually works. Welcome to the Lower Back Pain podcast that actually helps. I'm your host, Paul Hughes. Right, full disclosure, I was never great at football. I played GAA for years, trained my backside off, but I made every single mistake I'm about to call out in this episode. I thought training harder meant training better. I'd do random circuits, smash myself with conditioning work, neglect mobility and recovery, and wondered why I kept getting injured. My hamstrings were always tight. I couldn't touch my toes, and about 10 years ago, those tight hamstrings finally caught up with me, chronic back pain, and I couldn't train properly or play anymore. I completely stopped playing and got qualified as a PT and an S&C coach, and I've spent the next few years figuring out what I should have been doing all along. And here's the mad thing, I'm fitter now in my 20s than I ever was when I was actually playing. Stronger, more explosive, leaner and pain-free. Not because I'm training harder, but because I'm training smarter. And that's exactly why I help GA lads do now. Train smarter, not broken. So when I call out the mistakes you're making, I'm not judging you. I've made all of them myself. I just want to save you the 10 years of learning the hard way. Let me guess where you're at right now. You're still training. You're not lazy, but you don't feel sharp anymore. You've lost a yard of pace since last season. There's a bit of a belly after the summer that you keep telling yourself will be grand by January. You're hitting the gym, doing high rocks or some random CrossFit style circuits, thinking you're putting in the work. But here's the problem. None of that is making you faster, more explosive, or more powerful on the pitch. You're training to be tired. You're not training to be better. Here's what doesn't work. Random circuits and high rock style workouts, they build fatigue, not explosiveness. You're conditioning yourself to be average at everything instead of being elite at what actually matters for GA, which is speed, power, and cruising. Endless 5Ks and long runs are killing your top end speed and stripping muscle. A 5K jog doesn't help you beat a man to a ball. Power does. Crash diets in January, these will wreck your energy, tank your strength, and leave you struggling through pre-season instead of dominating it. Here's the reality. You're fit, but you're not football fit, and there's a massive difference. Fitness is being able to run 5K without stopping. Football fitness is being able to sprint, stop, change direction, and do it again 60 seconds later for 70 minutes. You know the feeling. First night back in January, somebody's flying, and you're hanging. Don't be that guy again. Here's something lads don't know. Once you hit 30, you lose fast twitch muscle fibers, the ones that make you explosive, faster than you lose endurance. That's why 5Ks feel easier, but sprinting feels harder. That's why you can still run all day, but you've lost that first 3 yards. If you don't specifically train for speed and power in the off season, you lose it. This is about knowing what actually works at this stage of your career. This is where the gym tourist thing comes in. A gym tourist shows up, does whatever's trending on Instagram, gets tired, posts a sweaty selfie, and then goes home thinking they've done the work. A GA athlete trains with a purpose. Every session has a goal. Every rep is intentional. They're not chasing fatigue, they're chasing performance. Gym tourists do random workouts. They train to be tired, measure results on success by how sore they are the next morning, and then they show up to January behind. Whereas GA athletes follow a structured plan. They train for power and speed. They measure success by performance improvements, and then to show up to January ahead of the pack. Which one are you? And more importantly, which one do you want to be? Off season is when you build the engine. Pre-season is when you fine tune it. Most lads waste October to December doing junk work and then panic in January. And here's the smarter way. Power first. Your off-season training should be built around getting stronger and more explosive. Sleds, drop bar deadlifts, split squats, box jumps, medicine ball throws, short, heavy, explosive work, not 20-minute AMRAP circuits. You don't need to run 5Ks. You need to be able to sprint 20 meters, stop, turn, and do it again. Work on acceleration, deceleration, and change of direction. That's what's going to win you the ball. Don't crash diet in January. Start a gradual calorie deficit now, around 300 to 500 calories below maintenance. Eat high protein, keep your strength, lose the belly without losing your energy. Recovery matters more at 30 than it did at 22. Mobility work, sleep, managing stress, this stuff isn't optional anymore. If you ignore recovery, you're leaving gains on the table. It's not complicated. You don't need a 6-day a week boot camp. You need 3 to 4 smart sessions done right. Last October, a lad messaged me. He was 31, playing midfield, and felt like he lost a step. He put on about 7 kilos over the summer, and knew January was coming. We ran a 10-week structured block, hour-focused training, gradual calorie deficit, high protein, consistent recovery work, and then by Christmas, he had dropped 5 kilos. His sprint time improved by half a second. More importantly, he felt like an athlete again. He showed up to pre-season in January ahead of everyone else. While the rest of the lads were getting hammered in conditioning, he was sharp, explosive, and confident. That's the difference 10 weeks makes when you have an actual plan. This is literally what we do every October in Templetown Strength and Conditioning. We build the engine early so January isn't a shock to the system. Right now, you've got about 10 weeks until Christmas, then another few weeks until January pre-season. Most lads would coast and then panic in January. You've done it before, but this year you can do something different. 10 weeks is enough time to drop 5 to 8 kilos of fat without losing your strength. Build serious power and explosiveness and get your sprint speed back up so you can show up to January ahead. The difference between you and January and the lad who starts now, 10 yards and a few kilos. That's it. Look, you can keep doing what you're doing, random circuits, long runs, I'll short it out later, and show up to January the same way you always do. Or you can actually train like a GAA athlete for the next 10 weeks and then see what happens. Some of you are thinking, I'm grand, I'm still training away. Sound, but let's be honest, running 5Ks and doing random circuits or bro splits isn't going to make you faster in January. You know that. I know that. Good training builds sharpness. Junk training maintains it at best. I run an online coaching program specifically for lads like you, GAA players, rugby players, team sport athletes who want to get lean, powerful and match fit without the guesswork. Structured training, nutrition dialed in, weekly check-ins, everything personalised to your goals and your schedule. If that sounds like what you need, DM me the word off-season on Instagram at Templetown Strength Conditioning. I'll reply personally. We'll have a proper chat about where you're at, where you want to be, and whether it's a good fit or not. But here's the thing. I've only got space for a handful of lads who actually want to do the work properly. So if that's you, DM off-season now. If you're still in I'll sort it out after Christmas mode, save us both the time. That's it for today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a teammate. Odds are he's making the same mistakes that you are. And if you play rugby or soccer, this still applies. Power, speed, smart training, it's universal. This is the window. 10 weeks. You either build the edge now or you chase it all next season. Train smarter, not broken. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Lower Back Pain podcast that actually helps.